Welcome back to AdKit tutorials. In the last two videos, we have been implementing banner and interstitial ad formats, but we still got one ad format left. In this video, we are going to add rewarded ad, which will be shown if player selects to continue a game after the crash. In this case, we will reward player for watching an ad. But first, I will disable interstitial ads so they won't distract us while working with rewarded ads. And if I try to launch play mode, and if I crash my spaceship into a rock, we can see that we are getting some errors. So the first error says that we are trying to instantiate interstitial ad, but this format is not enabled, and two others are trying to access our interstitial ad, but it was not created. Let's fix those problems. Let's open our ad controller script. Here we are trying to instantiate and request our interstitial ad, that we cannot instantiate it if interstitial ads are disabled in the manager. So to fix this problem, we need to check if interstitial ads are enabled in the project. And if it's true, then instantiate and request this ad. Great, we fixed 2 out of 3 errors. Last error was logged when our player crashed into a rock. So let's navigate to our game over script. Here we can see that we are trying to check if our interstitial ad was requested, but in our case, interstitial ad was not even instantiated, so this object doesn't even exist. To fix this problem, we need to add extra condition to check whether our game over interstitial exists. And if it's requested, only then show interstitial ad. Great! Now if we go back to the editor and try to launch play mode, if I crash into the rock, in the console we are not receiving errors anymore. Great! So now we can start working with our rewarded ads. Let's exit the play mode and navigate to rewarded ads menu. Here we got our rewarded ad profile, which we have configured in the last series. I will change its ID to continue a game, so that it would be more accurate in our case. For now, I will disable ad break, but I will come back to it later. So now we got our configured rewarded ad profile, and it's time to integrate it into our project. First, we need to instantiate and request our ad when scene is loaded. To do that, let's go back to ad controller script. Let's create our new ad rewarded object, which I will call continue rewarded ad. Now we can instantiate this ad profile and request for network. First, we can check if our rewarded ads are enabled like we did with interstitial ads. If it's true, then we can instantiate our new rewarded ad, which profile ID is continue games. Now I can request it by calling continue rewarded ad request function. So here we check if our rewarded ads are active in the project, and if they are, we want to instantiate and request our continue game rewarded ad. Great! Now we can go back to the editor, and here we need to find a place where we want to ask user to watch rewarded ad in order to get a reward. So our reward will be user's ability to continue a game with the same score after crash. First, we need to find our continue button, which is in game over window. Let's navigate to UI, game menu, and open game over game object. Here I will enable Windows game object, and now game over window will appear. Here we can see that user has ability to continue a game with coins. We can find this button in window, content. Let's add some text at the end of the game object name. I will specify that this button function is continue a game with coins. Then I will duplicate the same button and rename it to rewarded ad. User will be able to continue a game by watching rewarded ad. Alright, let's expand this button. Here we can find price game object. We will no longer need this, so we can delete it. Now let's enable our image game object and attach more accurate image for this button. I will search and select camera image. Great, now we have our new continue game button. Let's add a new function which will be called when we press this button. So let's go to game over script. Here we can find continue function, which is called when we press our continue button. It checks whether our player has enough coins to continue our game, and if it's true, then it reloads the game with same result. I will add more specific name for this function. I will call it continue with coins, so that we know that this function is used to continue a game with user coins. Now let's create a new function which I will call continue with the rewarded ad. And when this function is called, I want to display my reward. But first, we need to access our continue reward ad field. So let's go back to add controller script, and here I will change private field into public static so that I could reach this field in other projects. Now if we get back to game over script, we can access our rewarded ad by writing add controller continue rewarded ad show function. Great, that's it with coding. Now we can go back to the editor, and here we need to make some changes. First, we need to attach our continue with coins and continue with the rewarded ad functions to appropriate buttons. Let's select continue with coins button, and down below we need to provide our new function. In game over script, we can find continue with coins function, which I'm going to select. Great! Now let's select continue with the rewarded ad button, and here, when button is clicked, we need to call continue with the rewarded ad function. Alright, so now we have our working buttons, but we need to decide which button we are going to display. Let's disable our continue with the rewarded ad button, which we will enable only when our rewarded ad is loaded. And to do that, we are going to use add events. So let's find onRewarded load event. After this event is invoked, we want to display our continue with rewarded ad button, which I will drag to empty field. Then I will select GameObject setActive function, and we want to enable this button. But also, we want to disable our continue with coins button, so they won't overlap with each other. Let's create new field and attach our continue with coins button. And this time we want to disable a button, so I will select GameObject, setActive, and leave this checkbox unchecked. Great! So now when the rewarded ad is loaded, it will enable continue with rewarded ad button and disable continue with coins button. So the only button which will be displayed will be continue with rewarded ad. Now there is one more thing that we need to do before testing, and that is we need to actually reward our player for watching an ad. So our reward is to give player an ability to continue a game with the same score as he crashed. To make this happen, we need to get back to our game over script. Here at continue with coins function, I've said that the following statement checks if user has enough coins, and if it's true, then it subtracts specific amount of coins from the wallet and continues the game. So we need to create a new function, which I will call continue game. I will cut two last functions that are responsible for saving score and reloading scene, and paste them into our new function. Now we need to call it if the statement is valid. This is the same code as before, but now we have our continue game function that can be called when specific event is invoked. So if we go back to our editor, we can search for a new event which is onRewarded finish, and this event will be invoked when user watched and finished rewarded ad. Let's add our new function that is located in GameOver which I will drag to this empty field. And let's select our GameOver script, where we can find continue game function. Now, when our player will finish watching an ad, he will receive a reward, letting him continue a game with the same score as before. Now, if I disable our GameOver window and enter play mode, we can see that we are getting our rewarded ad instantiated and requested. Because request was finished and ad was loaded, it means that our new continue with rewarded ad button should be active when we crash our spaceship. So let's try this. I will collect a bigger score to check if continue function is working, and if I crash into the rock, we are getting our continue with rewarded ad button displayed. Great! Now if I try to press this button, our rewarded ad is shown, and if I finish it, scene will be loaded with the same score as before. Great! Now we got fully working rewarded ad in our project. If I crash again, I will get continue with rewarded ad button. But what if we don't want to give user this ability to continue a game with rewarded ad each time he crashes into a rock? Let's say if user watched an ad, I want to show him next rewarded ad only after 5 minutes. Again, you can do this by using ad breaks, which are provided by AdKit plugin. So let's exit our play mode. and activate ad break in our rewarded ad profile. Because we want to make our ad break active for a certain amount of time and not requests, I will change ad break time from request to time. And here I will set time break to 5, which is equal to 5 minutes. Let's say I also want to end ad break every time user exits the game, so that when he launches game again, ad break will be ended already. Now we need to add one more function to start this ad break. Let's go back to our ad controller script. Here I will create a new function which I will call start continuous ad break. And in this function I will call continuous rewarded ad start ad break function. Great! Now let's go to our editor where we need to attach our new function. So we want to give player a 5-minute ad break after he finishes watching an ad. So we can add additional field to onRewarded finish function, and here we will attach our ad controller game object. Then I will select ad controller script, which contains our new start continuous ad break function. So now when player finishes watching an ad, he will continue a game with the same score, and ad break will start that will last for 5 minutes, or when player re-enters the game. Alright, let's enter play mode and test our new ad. We can see in the console that our rewarded ad has been instantiated and requested, and if I crash my spaceship into the rock, I'm still getting continue with the rewarded ad button. If I press it, rewarded ad will be shown, and after finishing the ad, I will continue the game with the same score. But this time, we are getting different messages in the console. Here we got a message that ad break started after our player finished watching an ad. And down below, we have tried to request our rewarded ad, but ad break is still active for another 5 minutes. So now if I crash into the rock, our continue with coins button will be shown, while continue with rewarded ad button is hidden. That's because by default, continue with coins button is enabled. And because of our rewarded ad has ad break, that means onRewarded load event, which is responsible for disabling coins button and enabling rewarded ad button, was also not invoked. So now user can continue a game by using his coins, and after 5 minutes, ad break will end, and then he will be able to continue a game by watching rewarded ad. But we also selected to end ad break on exit. That means if I quit play mode and re-enter it again, we can see that there is no ad break message displayed in the console. Now if I crash into the rock, we can see that once again I'm getting continue with rewarded ad button. If I select to watch this ad and finish it, I will continue a game with the same score, and ad break will be activated again. That means if I crash one more time, I will not get continue with rewarded ad button, but with coins button. Alright, that's it for now. We have implemented our 3 different ad networks into a real project with tons of different functions and actions, but we've got one more function to integrate. In the next video, we are going to implement remove ads function, which will allow users to remove ads from their game. So stay tuned.